Hi everyone, so I'm back again and I'm going to do the last shoe in the series of shoes, and this time I'm going to do a fantasy shoe. I've already started off by doing the heel and the sole of the shoe, so we'll go right back down to my board. So as you can see, I've already cut out the sole and attached it to a heel, and I've also done the sole on it as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start building the shoe up. I'm doing a different style this time. I'm using a pointed shoe, so I've used this template here to make the sole of it, and then I'm going to have a complete upper on this one, so I'm using this template here, and also for the inner sole, which you've seen me do before on other shoes. So I'm going to do that first. So I'll just get rid of my shoe out of the way, and we'll start off by rolling out the paste. I'm just using flour paste for this. I've used pastelage for making the sole and the heel, and I'm using flour paste to do the actual main sole and the inner sole, so we can roll this a lot thinner. And you've a little bit longer to work on this than you have on the pastelage. You do need to work fairly quickly on that. If you want to make the pastelage on the boot, high heel boot that I did, below there I did put the recipe in for making the pastelage. So if you want to make that, you can get that from there. So I'm going to roll this fairly thinly. To do the inner sole. Right, so like before, we'll put the template on the shoe, and there is a label inside the thing. If I wanted to put a label in, I don't normally bother with this because it depends who you're doing it for and how much you're going to charge them for it. So I try not to get too carried away with some things. And I mean, if you're really good at writing, then you could do something like a Jimmy Choo or a Manola Blahnik, if you can get hold of a picture of their shoes and copy the label, so that you can do that in sugar. Just go around there into that. That's it. Take that away. Put that away, and then I want my design wheel. So because obviously the inner sole is stitched inside, then I'm going to do the stitching round the edge. If you've watched my other videos on shoes, you'll have seen this done before. It's fairly close to your edge. Take it all the way around like that. Then if I turn that over, and then I glue all over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this shoe in flowers. So for those of you watching this that haven't watched any of my shoe videos before, and so the groups that the flower groups, I'm posting this on there for the simple reason that I thought it'd be nice for you to see something different, using flowers in a different way, in a different medium. I'm sure you thought about it. I'm not trying to teach you to suck eggs, but here we are. Right, so we'll get hold of that and then place that onto the shoe like that. Smooth that into place. For those of you that watched my videos before, using this former rather than the Perspex one I've got. What I've done, because the formers are quite often too much of a drop for the heel, I've popped a bit of Pastelage underneath the heel to hold it in place, so that I've got the top of the heel in line with the top of the former, so that your sole sits on it in the right place. Right, so that's done. So the next thing, I'll just get that out of the way, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece on the front of the shoe here, and in this template that I've got for the sole, I've got a little bit of a triangle piece in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a small ball of paste, and I'm going to shape it into a triangle, to fit into there, and this is going to hold the front of my shoe former up. So I'm just going to check that on there. That's going to more or less fit. So if we just squash that down a little bit, and then I have got a former that I can use inside. If you haven't got a former, use some kitchen roll or something like that. So I can pop that inside as well, so that when I put it on, it'll more or less sit in place then. So just take that off of there and bring my shoe back down, and I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place it in, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue underneath just to hold it in place like that. Obviously in a real shoe you wouldn't have that on it, but when you're doing things in sugar and you want things to stay upright, then you have to give them a little bit of support when you're doing these jobs. So get a big piece of paste out. This is Pastelage again, but I'm using this for the simple reason I want it to dry fairly quickly so I can put the shoes on. Like all things, when I've done that part, and before I put the flowers on, I'm going to have to let it dry, so that's when I will stop the tape and then come back to it in order to show you the next step. So what I'm going to do first of all, I haven't done, I'm going to put some white fat on my board before I do this, because I need to roll this out fairly thinly in order to do this part. Just talk amongst yourselves while you're doing this. At least I would do if I was teaching a class, but I haven't got a class, have I? Sorry, I can't help it. It's my sense of humour. The only thing I take after my father for is his very dry sense of humour. Not everybody got it, but there we are. That's life. I'm just going to turn the board round the other way so that I can excuse my messy top, but I've always got so many things on the go at the same time. I've got a load of flowers on the go for a cake that I'm doing as well, which I'll post on Facebook when I've done it, along with one of the flowers in it that I've already shown on Facebook, and I've done a video on that. That's the Bowl of Beauty peony that I've done. So anybody that's already watched that, there will be another part of that as well. I've got some dry paste in there as well, which I didn't want, but there we are. But we can miss that. I'll just get my template out. So, will that fit in there? Just going to take that paper clip off the front, and there's a heel part that I can use to do the back part. And I think if I turn that round and go sideways that way, probably might fit it all in. Have a look. That's probably too long at the back there anyway, so I'm just going to make this, cut this out now so that I can because I'm cutting it out on my board. I'm using my trusty cutting wheel from PME. There may be other makes available, but I haven't come across them yet, not with a proper thin cutting wheel like this. I've only gone silent because I'm concentrating here on what I'm doing. I haven't done this for a long time, so please bear with me. I think I've just missed a little bit there. Just a little bit short on that bit there. Might have to stretch that bit out, but we'll see. Yeah. Just pop that back on to see where we are with that. Yeah, there we are. Gotcha. So I can take the excess away. I'm just going to go over that because I've got some little dints in it where I had to lean on it when I was cutting out, so just be careful about that when you're cutting these things out, because when you're cutting a large piece out it can happen. Right, so there we are. Just going to tidy up that edge on there, and then that's it. Got ya. And on that side as well, a little bit there. Right, so just get my palette knife out and lift that off the board because that's stuck with the white fat underneath it. There we are, so that's loose now. Maybe a little bit too thin on one side there, but we'll see how we go when I get it onto the shoe. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that to one side for the time being and get rid of that paste and bring my shoe down. Onto there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue all the way down the side of the shoe. As you probably see here, if I just tilt it over, I've made it quite thick there so that I can glue the upper part onto it. So what I need to do now is to go around the edge there with the glue and make sure you glue all the way around. Not everything that we put on cakes are flowers. Sometimes you have to use other means to decorate a cake, depending on what occasion it's for, of course. But it's nice to have other skills to decorate your cakes with. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay that down the sides there, and I'm going to start off by attaching the front part. That's going to go up the side there, that's going to go down there. This is the part where you need to spend a bit of time making sure that everything fits where you want it to fit. And then I can pack once I've got all the pieces attached. You can pack anywhere that needs to be packed. Now there might be some that I have to cut off here, so I'm just going to attach this here because I'm going to have some spare, and I can go around with the cutting wheel after I've done that, once I get all the pieces stuck to the side. Templates don't always fit exactly as you want them to fit, so sometimes we have to improvise a bit. There's going to be a little bit of an excess round there. Oops. My paste has torn very slightly there, so I'm just going to repair that, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pack that with some kitchen roll in there, just to hold the front of the shoe as I want it to be. Forget that in there, that's it. Then I can repair that little piece on the side there. I'm just going to have to take a little bit off the front here with my cutting wheel there. And I can find out where the front of the shoe is. There. Take that piece off the front there. And I'm just going to shape that down. And this is where the kitchen roll comes in handy. You need to keep plenty of this around for these sort of jobs. Oops, just move that template out of the way. And then come in there. Right, I'm going to start now levelling up the top part of the shoe here. Get this to stick. I just need to turn this round the opposite way. Just take that excess off there, off the side. That's a nice neat fit round there. And there's a little bit to take off on this side here. and I need to put some more glue on here because that's drying off. I've got a very sunny day here and I've got sun pouring in the window, so my glue is drying off a lot quicker than I would like it to. This is going to overlap, so what I need to do now is to find out where the middle is, and then I can cut that off. And what I'm going to do to make that easy, I'm going to use a pair of scissors to get that join in the middle, so that I cut through both pieces of paste in the same place so that they will meet up like that. So I'll take that piece out and that piece. Now I can get round the back and deal with the back part. So I'm just going to put some glue up there so I can attach these two pieces together. And as you would have on a pair of shoes, obviously there's going to be a join there, so that has to be stitched. So then get your design wheel, wherever that is. I'll just get rid of my templates out of the way. I need that one. There it is. And go up the back with the design wheel where your join is, just to put the stitching in. Because I'm making a fancy shoe, this is going to be covered anyway on the outside, but just for now I need to get the shape. So I'm just going to get some more kitchen roll. I'm going to roll this up like that and just pop that in there like that. Just try and get that as straight as you can. I'm going to put some more in there. Down the side of that. Just to pack that side. That's the one that's having the difficulty with on that. I think you need to put some more glue down there. That's why it's coming off. We've just got a little bit of it. There we are, down there. That's why that's coming away. The other side's fine. And then pop the paper back in. Just to get everything shaped the way I want it to. There we are. So I'm just going to pop that to one side now and I'm going to come back in a minute, and then I'll start on making the flowers that I'm going to use to go inside this. Back in a tick. Right, I'm back now. Got my cutters out, and these are the sort of flowers that I'm going to make. I'm sure a lot of you probably used things like this before, with little cutters and little plunger veiners and all that sort of thing. I've got quite an assortment here of different types that I've got. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variety of flowers. I'm not going to make them all on camera, I'm just going to do one of each. And what I've done is I've coloured some flower paste in 2 shades of pink and 2 shades of lilac. I might even do some white ones to go in amongst them as well. So what I've got here is a variety of different size cutters of different types. I have done a video on this using these sort of things before, but these are going to be made specifically for this shoe. So I've got some lilac paste here. The purple and the lilac that I've used, this is the purple here. I've used the same colour. I've used Grape Violet from Sugarflare. Most of the colours that I'm using at the moment are all from Sugarflare, so they're easy enough to find. If you can't get hold of those in your area, then whichever colours are suitable for you. I'm sure that you've all got lots of colours that you can use, so I'm going to go to town because these are not meant to be a wearable type shoe. Probably the nearest thing you can do to a, shall we say, a designer shoe, which you might wear once and then probably put in a glass case and never see the light of day again. A bit like Cinderella's slippers. But I'm not doing that in glass. There are limits to where I can stretch. So you need to roll your paste out fairly thin. But when you're using these veiners, you need a dusting bag to dust your things, and I use an nappy liner for mine. You can still get hold of them because I got mine from Boots if you're in the UK. You can get them online. They don't necessarily have them in the stores, but they do them online. And the lady that I spoke to in store very kindly ordered them for me into the store so that I could get them, so they are still available. Mothercare didn't do them. I was a bit disappointed with them. Right, so we'll find out which veiner fits which. So that cutter's probably going to go into that one. This rounded one will go into this, and you can use a variety of different veiners with different cutters. So I'm going to cut out 1 or 2 of these. I'm just going to do about 3 of each for now, so you're not sat here watching me just popping things in. So what you need to do is you need to line your petals up with where the petals are in the veiner, and then just pop your top on, give it a press, and you've got your little flower there. So what I'm going to do there is I've got some bobble foam here, so if I just pop my flowers into the bobble foam ready to dry, so we'll just put that up on the side there, pop these 2 out. And into there. So you don't need to ball tool edges or anything like that when you're doing these sort of flowers. If you roll your paste thin enough, it's not necessary. Besides, they're only fantasy flowers, we're not doing realistic flowers here. But these come in handy if you want to stick flowers directly on a cake as well. I did a teapot cake that somebody on one of these groups did, and I did my version of it, and it's proved very popular. Right, so I'm just going to get rid of, in fact actually we might do a different shape in that. We'll do some little, some of these little ones, a bit like a violet sort of type of flower. Just take the paste away from that. Let's get those out. When you're doing something like this, it's as far as your imagination stretches. This, you can get really carried away. Later on down the line I might do a Venetian mask. I've done that with my students in classes as well. That would prove to be very popular as well. Just going to pop just that again, I think. That's it. And in we go. Oops, curled a petal under that. Just make sure you get your centre in the centre. This is where you need nails to get these out. I've gone a little bit offside with that one, but never mind. I don't think anybody's going to look that closely, because with these sort of things people look at the overall view. And as I say to my students, if you do anything like this and there are any faults in it and anybody picks you up on it, just say, well, you do it. Because 9 times out of 10 it's going to be somebody who's never done anything like this and got absolutely no idea where to start. So don't take any flack from anybody, and if they say anything, tell them to speak to me. I'll sort them out. Not they're going to be able to find me, because I don't know where in the world you people are watching from. So right, another thing that I'm going to do as well, these plunger blossoms, I should have left some of that paste out. We'll do it in a darker colour. We'll do some purple ones in this one. Now what I should have done before I put these on here, I'm just going to take these off for a minute just to show you, because I use the other side of this foam in order to do the plunger blossoms. Because when you using your plunger blossoms, you need to do them on a soft surface. So just pop that to one side for a minute, and what I'll do is cut one out like that, twist it so it stays in the cutter, and then onto your foam and press, and it cups it into the foam. So you can do literally 100 of these. And like I say to all my students, if you've got any coloured paste that you've got left over, don't throw it away, don't waste it. Make loads of plunger blossoms in a colour like this. And the thing is, if you make a little pinprick in the centre of the flowers as well, when you're making them, then what you can do is to thread them onto stamens and then tape them onto a wire to make things like baby's breath. I'm just going to that, I didn't push hard enough in. And that one. There we are. So those are some of those little purple ones on there. So I'm just going to take those off there and turn it over just to do 1 or 2 of these others before I switch the camera off and go into production mode and make loads of other flowers ready to go onto the shoes. So I'll do a different colour with a different. The thing is with these, once you shape them as well, they'll stay more or less in shape once fairly quickly. I'll just get rid of that paste off of there, put that back in the bag, roll that up. We'll get some pink out this time. The colour that I've used for doing the pink is the same colour that I use for doing the Bowl of Beauty Outer Petal Peony. and the colour that I've used for colouring the pink is Claret from Sugarflare. So I've got different shades of pink out of it. I've got a deep pink, which is that one, the one I use for the outer petals, and I've also got some pale pink, which basically is the same colour with some white added into it. So I'll just pop that back in there. It's gone a little bit sticky, so I just need to, if you find your paste has gone a little bit sticky, which this has, sometimes it does with some of the colours that you can put into it, just rub some white fat on your hands. And that'll take the stickiness off. Just work it a bit with the white fat. Depends what kind of paste you're doing. This is one that I've made myself, which is actually quite soft. So I'm just going to put that back in my bag. So I'm going to use a different Vernor here. We'll use this one, and I've got a little where's me? Oh, I've got a petunia cutter, and I've got this shape. So we do a couple of those, do about 3 of those. Cut those out. And particularly with this paste, it'd be very important to make sure that you dust your mould, because this is quite soft, is this. So it's very important that you make sure that your mould is dusted well before you put it in. I mean, they will come out, but you might have a bit of difficulty getting them out, so if you can make it easier for you, then that's fine. So if you just line the petals up like that, so I'm lining those up to the points, and press. It's a bit difficult to see it with it being pink on pink. There we are, onto the foam. Another one. So these are, it's like a primrose shape is this one. I was trying to think what it was while I was doing it. Not that I don't know what I've got, it's just that sometimes your mind goes blank when you're doing these things. So I'm just as guilty as anybody else of forgetting what I'm doing while I'm doing it. I'm one of these people that sometimes you go upstairs for something, you come down, you go upstairs and you forget what you've gone up for. You have to come back down again in order to go back up to remember what it is you went up for in the first place. Well, we've all done it, all been there, done that. It's got nothing to do with age or anything like that. It's just that sometimes it just happens. So with the little plunger blossoms, you could do different sizes in those as well. I need to do quite a lot of flowers so that I've got enough. I don't want to be running out when I'm halfway through doing it, because I want to get on to the next stage whilst these are drying. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the heels, and what the heel on the shoe is going to be done with leaves. So I'm just going to pop those back into the foam out the way, and I can come back and finish those afterwards. I'll just get those out of the way. Onto my foam, and I've got some green paste here, and I can do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put these directly onto the heels. I'll come back to you with the flowers when I've made all of those to show you what I intend to do. But I just wanted to do the heel so that can be drying whilst I'm doing the flowers, and then I can come back to that. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a small rose leaf cutter, and I should have my veiner on here somewhere. Here we are. Where's the other half of it? There we are. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll these out without any ridges, and we're just going to put them directly into the veiner. Just move that over there. The thing is, you can use this method if you want to stick cake flowers directly on a cake that are going to be eaten. Then you don't have to worry about taking things off and whether there's wires in them or anything else like that, because you won't want anybody choking on anything. Another thing that I always find is best to do is if you want to put sort of like rosebuds on a cake or that type of thing, like on the top of swags and things like that, rather than relying on just sticking it on with some royal icing, what you can do is make them on a piece of spaghetti rather than on a cocktail stick, and then you can use the spaghetti to push it into your cake. Because it's a food product, it's edible, so there's no taste to it, but it is safe to use on food. So if you're going to attach any flowers like that on a stem, then use spaghetti as your stem. I'm just going to cut a load of leaves out. I don't know how many I'm going to need, so I'll just cut out a load like this. We'll get another one out there. Yep, we can. There we are. Just make sure that when you're pulling your paste away with anything like this that's got little cuts in like that, because the cuts go upwards, pull your paste away upwards as well, otherwise you can spoil the shape of your leaf. I know to some of you it's probably second nature if you've done loads of flowers and cakes for before, but if you're learning, then it's always a good idea to know all these little tips that stop things from going wrong. The last thing you want to be doing is not being happy with whatever it is you're doing. And it's a good idea if somebody with experience can point you in the right direction before you make that mistake. I'm not saying we're all right. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, even people that have been doing it a long time like myself, you know. But I mean, this is why I always say if something goes wrong in a video, I don't cut it out, for the simple reason that if something does go wrong and you can put it right, then you need to know how to put it right. So if I can show you, then I will do. Move that out of the way. I don't know what it's like where you are now, but I mean, we're in the end of October, just coming up to Halloween. And look at this, the sunshine. It was pouring it down this morning. Now the sun's cracking the flags, as we say over here. The weather these days can't make its mind up what it's doing. So I know in some parts of the world people are having all these dreadful floods and hurricanes and all sorts of things. We're lucky in the UK we don't get hurricanes, just strong winds, but they're bad enough when we get those. But who knows what's going to happen in the future if we don't change things. Right, so that's all the excess paste taken off now. So all I need to do now is to get those onto my mat. Just got some things to shift off it that I put on earlier on. Just bear with me for a sec. I've got that many projects going on at the moment. I've got things all over the place, so just excuse me for a few seconds while I sort myself out. Right, here we are. So we'll get those onto the pad. What I'm going to do is just going to start putting a few on. I'm not going to put them all on so that I can come back when I've finished them, but just to show you what the intention is to do with the heel of the shoe to cover that up. And the whole idea of these is to do the leaves in green, and then what I'm going to do is when it comes round to colouring, I'm going to touch the edge of the leaves up with some gold for the heel. The upper part of the shoe then is going to be covered in flowers. That's why I've got a heck of a lot to do, so I don't want you sat watching me for hours making loads of the same thing when I can switch off, do those and come back and show you where I'm at. And I've lost my ball tool because it's underneath here somewhere. I'll find what I've done with it. There it is. Some of you ladies are probably saying, well, have a clear up in there. Yes, you're right. I've got a cake to do, so I'm going to have to clear everything out of the way. I do make room when I'm doing something like that. But because I've got quite a lot of videos going on all the time, I tend to leave all my equipment where it is so that I can find it and I don't have to get things out and then worry about whether I've got everything out or not. I have done that in the when I first started doing this. It's alright for these people that've got a nice big kitchen with somebody there to do the videos for them, and they don't have to worry about where the camera is and whether they do close-ups or whether they can be seen or whatever. When you're the camera person as well as the demonstrator, it's a little bit more difficult than that. It's like I say, sometimes when I'm doing things, particularly when I'm wiring things together, I have had a habit, and I do know about it, of going out of shot because I forget that I haven't moved the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Because it's very difficult to look at the camera, although I've got a screen there so I can see what I'm doing, and look at what I'm doing here as well, because that's more important in my mind, is for you to be able to see what I'm doing. So I need to get out of the habit of going out of shot and looking at my screen before I start doing a job. That would be the correct way of doing it, wouldn't it? So what I need to do is to listen to my own advice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do 2 or 3 of these leaves, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with them. So into the Verner, give it a press, and onto the board. So I'm using a genuine rose leaf Verner to do these. Put that paste down there. This is a Verner by Alderval Verners, if you can get hold of them. I know that they did go all over the world, because I know Alan, who designed them when he was with us, went to, I think he went to Australia to demonstrate these. Somebody had seen them online and wanted them over there, so his son's carried on the business. You can get them on eBay. There is a seller on there that does all the range of Alderval Verners if you want those. You could also use Great Impressions or many of the other different makes of Verners there are about. Some are more expensive than others. Alderval are reasonable but very good quality. They're not the cheap ones. They're the ones you need to be careful of. If you're going to buy something you're going to use a lot of, invest in something that's decent. Don't buy the cheapest thing on the market, because some of them are not made of very good product, and they do tend to split. And saying that, I have bought some expensive ones that have split as well, so you know, you can never tell. But I have to say, I've never had Alderval split. Some of these I've had for donkey's years, ever since I first started using them, when he first started making them. So that just shows how good they are when you can keep something so long and it's still just as good as it was when it was new. Right, that's enough for now. So I'm going to get on to showing you what I'm going to do on the shoe. We'll just move those out of the way, and then I can get all my other bits and pieces made. And I'm just trying to get this in a position so that you can see what I'm doing. Need me glue there. Get rid of that. Right, I don't know whether you can see the heel or not. It's a very bit difficult because of the position that I have my cameras in. Just put that light on. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the heel with leaves, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top, and then I'm going to work down in layers. So I might have to make a lot more leaves to start off with. So I'm just going to glue about half of the leaf, and stick that those around the top of the shoe. So I'll make sure I cover the whole of the I'm going to put a bit more glue on that one, because it's dropping down a bit too far. It's better. Let's just have a look around the other side, see where we've got to. That's okay. And then what I'm going to do then is I'm going to do another layer below them and work down the heel, overlapping. What I'll do is I'll take it off the former when I've put a few leaves on it and show you what I've done with it. This part is very difficult for you to be able to see, unlike the front of the shoe, which you will be able to see when I'm putting that together. Because of the nature of the product, it is difficult on camera to show all this. How much room have I got round there? I just have to take my shoe off and have a look. Yeah, it wants another one round there. Just put a little bit of glue under there so that holds that up. Here we are. And then go down and do another layer. I'll just do this one layer and then I'll show you what I've done so far. I have to admit, I don't know how you ladies walk in these stilettos, because I wouldn't be able to walk in them. Right, if we just turn that over and just show you what I've done there with the top of the heel. So I'm going to work all the way down to the bottom and then I'll come back. Okay, see you in a bit. Right, everybody, I'm back again. I've done some work while I've been off camera, just to save time. So what I've done is I've covered the back of the heel with rose leaves, with the pointed end, the top of the leaf pointing upwards. Done it in layers, starting from the top and working down to the bottom. And then I've also done plunger blossoms that I've done up both sides of the shoe. The reason I've done that is because I don't want people getting bored watching me stick tiny little plunger blossoms on there. So what I've done is I've got a load of flowers here that I've already made there and there in various different sizes, with some of the flowers like the lilac ones there, the pale pink ones that I've done, and that lilac one, and that I've dusted the edges with some colour just to give them a bit of depth. So we'll see how far we go with these shoes. So what I've done is I've mixed up, because I haven't got any royal icing, I've watered some sugar paste down with water, which is what we do for piping. If you're doing on a colour and you can't match your colours up, then this is one way of doing it. Another thing that I've also done as well, I've put a back into the back of the heel there, if you can see that, into the back here, just to finish the heel off. That covers up the join where the paste joined at the back, and then stitched around the edge of it as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start doing the front of the shoe. So I hope you can see from there. If I tilt it up, if I get something to put underneath like that, so you can see what I'm doing on the front of the shoe. Makes it easier for me as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with some larger flowers in the centre. I don't think I'm going to need half of these flowers that I've got on here, but we'll just see how we go on. I'm going to do is if I put the piping paste onto the back of the flowers. Now I'm just thinking here I might be better off starting with the bottom, so I'm just going to wipe my fingers. So I've got some paste on here and it's sticky. I don't want the flowers sticking to my hands, so just clean that off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by putting some of these smaller flowers around the bottom here to support some of the bigger ones. Then I'm going to put on here. Thing is with things like this, you just need to take your time with it to get everything the way you want it to be. And if you were doing it in your own time, then you could do a bit, let them dry, and then come back and add some more on. So we'll just try that now. That's not going to go in there, is it? See if we can find something a bit flatter. Here we are. We'll put one of these dark coloured ones in. Down here. There we are. That's going to stay. And then I can put that in. Doesn't matter what sort of order you put these in. It's a fantasy shoe, so that one's been a little bit awkward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another one of these dark coloured ones in underneath it, just to hold that in place. So if I put that in there like that, that should stay put. No, it's not going to stay, is it? It's not behaving itself. This is what I mean that thing's going wrong. If I wasn't doing a demonstration, it wouldn't matter, would it? Because I could go away and let things dry before I put those on. I think that's going to need a little bit more support. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of paste in them, then put one of these little ones in between the big ones. Put that underneath, that on top. Better? And then put that one in. That's better. That will stay put there. I'll just put another little white one in under there. I've done loads of these little white ones just to go in between to sort of lift the colours up. And do another little lilac one round that. Put a pink one in that. And then I can go around to the other side then. So if you leave it on your former once you've put these in, if they're still until they're dry, and then you can come back and take your shoe off once everything's set in place. Because these little ones I've done are quite deep, the way that I've done them, I've used a little primrose cutter for this one, and then used one of the veiners that I showed you earlier on. And Put one of those dark ones in again, into there, because they're a bit flatter. And we'll put another one further on. Put a white one in between, just underneath there, just to hold that up. So it goes underneath that one. Then put another white one under there. And put a pink one in there. Another one of those pink ones in there. Now if you've got any little spaces left over, you can use some of the little tiny flowers in between then, just to fill in your spaces. And pop that one in there, like that. And another one on the other side. Just in that. Oh, I think that's it. It didn't take quite as much as I thought I was going to take. So I'm just going to get rid of those flowers out of the way for the time being. And what I'm going to do now to finish it off with the leaves on the back, I'm just going to catch the edge of the leaves. I don't know what we missed in that little bit there. My battery ran down on my camera just as I was turning the shoe down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch the edge of the shoes, the leaves on the back of the shoe, move the shoe a little bit further forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this gold here. I'm going to mix it in the lid with a bit of isopropyl, and I've got my little shoot what's it with my no, I haven't, somewhere. I'm just going to pop a bit of isopropyl, because I've lost my little shot syringe to mix some gold up. It'll be right under my nose when I find it. It's like everything else. If you keep finding stuff, losing things rather, but you can generally guarantee that they're going to be right under your nose somewhere when you do find them. Make sure that when you're using gold and you're going to do anything like this, that it's quite thick before you try doing it. I think when I show this on YouTube, I'll have to do a video of it rather than just doing a picture, so you can see the whole effect. I have to tilt it up that way so I can see what I'm doing. All I'm doing is just catching the top edges of the point of the leaves. I've already dusted the leaves with some green. I went over them before I came back on camera because it's a bit boring watching me do all these little bits and pieces that are you're quite capable of doing yourselves. So if you just let your leaves dry on your heel before you do that, then you're ready to go. But I haven't done the colour all over. I've left it a bit patchy because it just sort of adds to the drama with anything like this. Right, so that's the heel with the gold on it, and there's the front of the shoe. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed doing it because it's something a bit different to what I normally do. I will be getting back to my flowers, but later on I probably might do a Venetian mask. I did that with some of my students and they really enjoyed that because you can let your creative juices run wild with that sort of thing. So there we are. There's my fantasy shoe, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care and stay safe.